I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome to the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, the best Rotary Club in the universe. Today's invocation will be with Chuck Rule.
Bow your heads in prayer. We thank you for the opportunity to be members of Rotary, to serve our community and be good citizens. We ask that you give guidance to our local, state, and federal leaders as they make decisions that will affect our future. Help us in our upcoming auction this year and bless this food to our use. Amen.
Amen.
And the flag salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And today's song is also with Mr. Rule.
I thought it was Jim. Well, hey, it's not raining yet, so let's do You Are My Sunshine. One quick verse. You are my sunshine,
my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Okay. All right, please be seated.
Terrible. Yeah, that was bad.
All right. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? I don't see anyone out there I don't know. So do we have any guests of Rotarians besides our program? Again, I don't see anyone. All right, so we'll move on to club business. Mark Finn has an announcement.
The Paul Harris nominations will close next Thursday. So if you have someone that you want to nominate, whether it be from the community or from our club, we have quite a few nominations already. So, and then the Thursday after that, our team will meet and we'll choose the recipients, probably 3 or 4 recipients for this year's Paul Harris Awards. So if you have somebody in mind, I think who Mike is on the committee, who else that's here today? I don't see anybody else, but anyhow, let me or Mike Moser know if you have somebody in mind, and we'd be happy to bring them to the group. Thanks.
All right, and I have a lot of announcements, so I apologize in advance. Camp Rotary auctions. We need silent auction items to be turned in. I know that a lot of you are working on that, and I appreciate it, and so does Danny and Sherry. If you have an item that you think should be an almost live auction item, we are going to start putting that list together this next week. So please, even if you've already turned it in, if you can email Danny and myself so we can add that to the almost live category. She has to update that in Octria in order to make sure it's in the system correctly. So we appreciate your help on that. Kate is working on the live auction item booklet. It's due to the printer in 3 days. So we're hoping to get that done on time and send it out their way. She said the biggest thing she's missing right now, we need to include the fair market value on the items for tax reasons. So if you are a captain of a team or co-captains of a team that has turned in an item for the live auction, please email Danny and myself and Rebecca the market value so we can get that added to the booklet. And please do that today. I'll send out an email too for everyone that's not here. Dessert dash. We still need 5 more desserts, which is a heck of a lot better than 19. So I appreciate everyone who signed up for that. Large items, so far no one's indicated that they need their item picked up by the Janicki Industries duo. So unless I hear back from you today, tomorrow, by the weekend, I'm going to let Mike Norris know that we don't need the box truck on Thursday, that we'll need it starting Friday morning. I need someone to volunteer to pick up pizza to take to the museum at 5 p.m. to feed the volleyball team who's going to be there all night volunteering. If you can email me and let me know, because I'll probably never remember after the meeting who raised their hands. I'd appreciate that. It'll be enough pizza to feed about 30 players and parents who are going to be there in shifts. Sheena? Who? They are going to be runners like usual, and they'll help with cleanup too. Let's see, I'll be emailing everyone about signing up for specific committees for the day before the auction and day of. Obviously, I don't need to lecture everyone as a member of the auction committee because we've all heard that a million times. If possible, if you can take Thursday afternoon off and Friday morning to help set up, that's greatly appreciated. We need all hands on deck. Other things is installation dinner, June 28th here. We're also hoping to make that a ribbon cutting for the Memorial Park picnic shelters that we're building over the next couple of months. And work parties for those are going to be arranged with the city to be after work hours and on weekends so we can contribute. And I think that's about it. If you haven't signed up for the District 50/50 conference, please do. Any other business? All right, do we have a raffle?
Number 24. Sorry. Number 33. 33. Yoo-hoo. Cascade Pizza, $25 gift card. Get it to you, Doug. Cascade Pizza. Number 14 is the next number. Lorenzo's $25 gift card. Cascade Pizza, Lorenzo. See it. Number 48. Sorry.
All right, do we have Sergeant Arms and
Yeah, that's
Happy
me.
Bucks?
You guys are gonna get tired of me in baseball, but tough. This is every player in the MLB has a nickname of some sort or another. Some are more famous than others, and others are obscure. So I'm gonna do this table first. Whose nickname is the Splendid Splinter? Was. You're right. Who did he play for? How many years? No, 26. $2, please. Who has a moniker? All Rise. That's his moniker. Aaron Judge. Who does he play for? Okay, I'll let you off. My favorite player in the whole wide world forever played on this team, and his nickname was the Wizard. St. Louis. Huh? Yeah. And who is the big unit? Whose nickname was Dizzy? Damn it. Way to go. Whose nickname is the Sultan of SWAT? That's right. What team did he play for before? What positions did he play? Plural.
There's a pin.
Actually, it wasn't plural, it was trio. Yeah. You got two, one of the three. Yeah, he did. Behind the face. Yeah, but he was a pitcher at Boston first. I'm not doing well. Do you know anything, Doug? Chuck? Huh? No? Okay. All around. Eric, who's Mr. Padre? How about who is Mr. Cub? How about Iron Horse? Come on. Padre was Tony Gwynn. Mr. Cub was Ernie Banks, and the Iron Horse was Lou Gehrig. All right, that's all I got. Happy Bucks?
Thank you, Jim. Ruth wasn't feeling well, so she asked me to continue with the meeting. I just trying to see, I was president in 2012 and 2013, so if I'm rusty, that's why. We need to do Happy Bucks. I didn't get fined, so I'll do 2 right off the bat.
I'll give my 2 because Jim wasn't able to fool our table.
And
And
some
one
more, you
more
don't have
thing,
a, you don't have a name
2
tag
people owe
on.
fines. Oh, Neil didn't sign in. And Becky Scrindy doesn't have her badge.
I got 2 Happy Bucks. I have a 13-year-old today. I know, we made it this far. So this $2 represents the 2 cents worth that never gets through that kid's head.
I have a couple Happy Bucks. One, Dawn Stryker's been watching YouTube and letting me know and getting makeups for it. So that's kind of cool and an option for everybody. Secondly, I made it to the Okanagan for a wedding, and we made it up and back with nice roads and nice weather and all the families. So it was fun.
I got a happy 20, just got back a couple days ago from Africa. It's indescribable. It was an amazing trip. Got to see almost every animal on our bucket list, including a lion that I literally could have touched. It was so close. But I wanted to share kind of a funny story just to give you guys some perspective. We don't even think about this in America, but every morning, so these guys fixed us incredible food every day. They were stuffing us for Thanksgiving, I think. But one morning we get into camp or get into the tent for breakfast, and they didn't have our coffee ready. And of course, us Americans were like, what the hell? Where's the coffee, right? We need coffee. And then the breakfast was late, and we're like, this isn't like them. What is going on? Well, come to find out, well, in a few minutes, they come running into camp, and they set up the coffee, and they get our breakfast going. And turns out they couldn't get our food to our tent because there was a Cape buffalo between them and our tent. And so they just couldn't do it. So we're like, oh my God, we don't even think about that stuff here. No.
I'm happy 5 for, I just got back from Arizona down there for a 3-day golf trip. It was a lot of fun with relatives.
Anybody else?
Okay, thank you, Jim. Now it's time for our program and any early leavers if you must. Looks like Chuck Rule's gonna, you guys look a lot alike. Chuck Rule is going to come up here and introduce our speaker.
We're introducing you, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doug. It's my pleasure today to welcome Amy Wilcox, who's with Hospital District 304 United General Hospital, and to kind of give us an update on what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck, and thanks for having me here today. I want to ask a show of hands. Who thinks I work at the hospital? Okay, who thinks I work for Peace Health? Okay, and you are lucky here because you have a hospital district commissioner, so you probably know what a hospital district is, but before I started working at United General a year and a half ago, I did not. So I work for the public hospital district, which is different than the hospital. 10 years ago, actually 10 years ago this month, we started working with Peace Health. We signed a contract for Peace Health to take care of all the clinical and medical services. Can everybody, is this loud? Am I really loud? Okay. Yes, we signed a contract 10 years ago. So we're celebrating a decade at the hospital district of not providing medical and clinical services. Rather, we provide health and wellness programs and education to the community, specifically mostly within this hospital district, which is Sedro Woolley, most of Burlington, upriver, even a little bit of Mount Vernon. So that was just something I didn't know until I worked there. So for those of you who maybe weren't listening closely to Chuck when he made presentations, now you know. So again, my name is Amy Wilcox. I am the grant writer at the hospital district, and I am happy to see some familiar faces here because I worked for North Cascades Institute about 10 years ago. And so I met some of you through some of that work, and I'm happy to be back here in Sedro Woolley, where I went to grade school. I went to Samish Elementary, and then we moved to the big city of Mount Vernon. So I went to Mount Vernon High School. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our programs. We have a very wide variety of programs that we offer the community, and I want to make sure that you know about all of them so that you can take advantage of them if you want or need to, or you can tell others in the community about us. So I'm kind of going to follow this document that you have on your tables. You're welcome to follow along with me, or just listen or take a nap. Or did this just quit working? No, still? We're okay? Okay. So one thing that I found interesting when I started working here was understanding the concept that healthcare is a holistic process, and only about 20% of it is actually the clinical and medical services that a hospital provides. And about the other 80% is a bunch of other factors that goes into people's health and wellness, including their economics, their social status, their whether or not they have jobs, where they live, and then a lot of kind of their habits and the ways that they eat, the physical activity, things like that. So you can see on this third page in this document, if you are following along, you see those socioeconomic factors and health behaviors. And so where a United General District 304, the public hospital district focuses, is that 70%, the socioeconomic factors and the health behaviors. And the way we kind of separate out our work and try to explain it to the community is we have kind of 6 pillars that we work under. So I'm just going to go through each one of our pillars. They're sort of like our departments rather quickly, and just kind of give you a sense of all the different programs that are involved in each pillar. So the first one I'm going to talk about is community and professional education. And that pillar focuses on trainings and education on a variety of topics. We do a lot of work with mental health. So we do trainings helping people understand when people are perhaps in a mental health crisis. So we do a program called Question, Persuade, Refer. And that's so that any community member can recognize signs in their family, their colleagues, their friends, that those people are contemplating suicide, and some of the steps that you can take to help that person kind of get themselves out of that and get the help that they need. We also do health and safety classes. So we teach things like CPR. We also do babysitting courses. We work on a program called a compassionate response, which is sort of an alternative to judicial, what's the word I'm trying to think of, when kids get in trouble for substance use in school. So rather than them getting in trouble or getting kicked out of school or getting sent to the police, we do education for them so that they understand why they might be using substances and some of the alternatives that they can do instead. And then we do a lot of family programs. So we teach young parents with toddlers and kids lots of different tools and tips that they can use to be the very best parent that they can be and get their family started out on the right foot. And we do that for a variety of ages of students, I think up to age 14. So that's for parents and the kids when they're 10 to 14, and when they're younger, sometimes it's just for the parents. So as you can see, even just in that one pillar, that's a lot of different subjects and topics. And I can tell you as the grant writer for this organization that I am supposed to know pretty much everything about all of these things. So it's taken me a little while, but I'm getting there. I've been there about 1.5 years now, so I'm getting close. So the next pillar I'm going to talk about is our Engaged Youth and Communities pillar. And you've probably heard about one of our main programs there, which is the Sedro Woolley Rise Coalition. And I know that it is co-coordinated by Sam, who I believe is Sam here today? I was really hoping to meet her, but I guess it's not to be. So she co-coordinates that with Jill Sprouse from my organization, who I believe you've met here as well. And that is really a coalition of 12 different sector representatives, volunteers in the community who come together and work on issues to prevent substance use among youth and really to help the whole community be healthy and happy. And, you know, we get a lot of different statistics, and sometimes they sound really scary around youth substance use. But the reality is that most youth do not use substances, but you just kind of hear about the percentage of them that do. And really, most adults don't condone substance use with students, but you also kind of hear a lot, the really bad stories that usually is what rises to the top. So, but we do a lot of work with that coalition. We also run the Concrete Coalition, the Concrete Resource Coalition, and the Burlington Healthy Communities Coalition. And all three of those coalitions now have youth coalitions within those groups. So those are actually led by the youth in the school, youth who have a real passion for living substance-free lives, and they want to go out and tell their peers about it, which is a really great way to sort of model behavior on behalf of students. So we also have a program called Varsity and Volunteerism that was actually started by a staff member at my organization. And that is a program that now all the schools in Skagit County, all the high schools have a club in their school. And it is based on students who do 100 hours of volunteer service. And once they do that, they get a letter in volunteerism, much like you would get a letter in a sport. And this year we're doing something different for the first time, that each club usually has their own kind of small celebration to graduate their students and receive their letters. And this year we're doing a big celebration in which all the clubs are coming together. And that's happening next month. And hopefully if you're involved in that program, you've received an invitation to go to that event. We are expecting to have around 300 to 350 people, and we're serving everyone dinner, and it's just going to be a really great celebration of these students. We learned the reason this program was started was because we learned that young people felt like they weren't getting enough recognition for the good that they did. They were only getting attention from adults when they were doing something bad. So it's kind of that trying to do pro-social messages to enhance and to showcase what students are doing that's really great. So we also have several other youth programs that we are doing, including a youth summit that is happening next week at out on Lake McMurray at Camp Corey. And that is where we have about 100 students who come together and they learn about leadership skills and mentoring and learn how to really be leaders in their community. So lots of stuff going on there. I'll just stop and ask if anyone has a question as we go along. I'm happy to take questions as we go, as long as you have a voice that's loud enough for me to hear it, and just stop me at any time. We're good? Yes. That is a great question. He
Can
asked
you-
how many staff we have and who does our funding. And so we have, I want to say there's about 30 kind of full-time or close to full-time staff. And then we have probably another 30 or so on-call staff. And the on-call staff are the people who kind of teach a lot of the programs that I just mentioned about family programs and things like that. As far as funding, all of our programs, the ones that I've talked about and the ones that I'll tell you about in a minute, are about 90% funded by grants. And so I am the one grant writer. And so I am sort of tasked with getting about, let's see, I think last year we had about $2.9 million in grant funds for our programs. And then we also, as a government agency, we receive a small bit of tax money from you all, most likely. So thank you very much. And then we do have a small foundation that is attached to our organization that's a 501c3. So we can receive charitable donations, and some of our programs do work to do a little bit of fundraising in that way, which I'll also mention briefly. Did that answer your question? Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
How much of our tax money goes to the work you do versus old loans on the hospital district versus Peace Health operations?
I almost need Chuck to come up here for that one, but I think I can at least get it started. So the so you asked about how much of the tax money as a property owner comes to us for the foundation versus how much goes to old loans versus the hospital. So I'll get a little bit technical and detail wise here, but right now I don't believe we have any old loans, Chuck. Okay, so we don't have any old loans, like we don't have some old bonds that are happening right now that your taxes are paying for. I think I don't have this ingrained in my memory, but I believe it's 11 cents. Chuck, do you know this? Like how much? It's tiny. I believe we are the lowest amount of tax money funded public hospital district in Washington state. Don't 100% quote me on that. If we're not the lowest, we're like at, second to the lowest or something like that. So it's very low amount. For example, now this is kind of a roundabout, but I have a staff member who has property here she's outside of Burlington. And I think she says like $90 and her home is worth something around 600,000. So it's a very minimal amount of tax that you are charged. So that's a great question that you bring up. And I will just in full transparency tell you that we are looking at potentially increasing that and going out for a levy lift at some point in the next couple of years. So, and I will, if and when that happens, I will have much better information. I will know exactly what I'm talking about when I come to talk to groups like this about that. One of the issues is that when we went into our cooperating agreement with Peace Health, one of the stipulations was that if Peace Health lost money 3 years in a row, they could take our tax funding, which is likely going to happen coming up soon. So we will no longer have that. I think it's roughly $1 million, $1.5 million per year that we receive from tax funding. So coming up soon, that's not going to happen anymore. So that money won't be going to us. It'll be going to Peace Health and the medical and clinical services that they provide. Yeah.
Do you have metrics that you're measuring to quantify the good that you're doing?
Wow, you guys are great question askers. We do have a lot of metrics. We set up goals for each program. In fact, this document that you have in front of you is actually kind of a little bit more specific than we usually hand out at public presentations like this, because it's actually our annual plan for 2024. And we do have some metrics in some of these areas, not in all of them. Although most all of our programs do have metrics associated with them. And a lot of those are because they are so heavily grant funded. So we rely a lot on federal grants, which have tons of metrics and stipulations that you must go by in order to earn that funding. So one of the reasons that we would like to be able to get a little bit more tax money, if our community agrees with us on that, is because then we can really be proactive with what the needs are in our community, as opposed to always kind of following these real specific federal dollars around, and kind of not that we completely set up programs just to get the grant money, but we might start with an idea or something that we know is needed in the community, like, for example, the program I just talked about, varsity and volunteerism. And then if we get a grant to go with that helps us fund it, there might be some additional stipulations or things that maybe don't quite fit in with our idea of the program, but we kind of have to make them fit so that we can do it at all. So did that answer your question? Well, we have, we have annual reports and we get audited, and we have those on our website. I say with some confidence, I'm pretty sure we do. So all of that is open to anyone to see what our finances are, which we have been led for about the last 25 years by our superintendent, who is a CPA, and he's very fiscally minded. So we are fortunate we have quite a bit of reserves at this point. So the loss of our tax money is not going to, break the bank immediately. But of course, as you all know, as business owners and people that work in government, you can't operate like that forever. So we need to make that up. But yes, and the one thing that we use a lot of, and you may have heard about, the Healthy Youth Survey that just came out recently. There was an article in the Skagit Valley Herald a couple weeks ago about it. And that's something that has been going on in the state of Washington for, I think, like 20 years. And it's a measurement of youth. And there's a bunch of questions on it, but it's really about their health, their mental health, substance use, their hope, how much, they look forward to things, and how much they feel like they have a chance and a way to move forward in the world. And so a lot of the work that we do, we eagerly await the results of that survey. It comes out every 2 years. So it gives us a really good sense of where we are in the community, because a lot of our work is focused on youth and underserved populations, people and families who otherwise could not afford the services that we provide. So I should have mentioned when I was talking about those first couple of pillars that most of those things are free for the people who participate, or there may be a very low cost to it. So I hopefully answered your question. I'm happy to talk more too. Some of these questions that you're asking me, I did not come prepared for, let me tell you. So but that's okay. Any other questions? I don't feel like I'm on trial, so that's good. Okay. Was our hand back there? Sorry. No. Okay. Am I done? I am not, but it's okay. It's okay. So the next pillar, I'm going to talk really briefly. So the next pillar I'm going to talk about is our healthy eating pillar. Yes. Okay. Okay, great. Great, thanks. So the next pillar I'm going to talk about is our healthy eating pillar, and that pillar really focuses on providing nutrition resources to all of our community members. So we help people get signed up for the basic food program. So we do a lot of support with applications. We have, I think, 4 or 5 staff members who speak Spanish fluently. So we're able to work with a lot of our Spanish speaking residents who don't have the capacity to get help in English. So that has been something that we have really worked on in the last couple of years, because the Hispanic population in Skagit County is rising pretty dramatically. So we need to keep up with our community. We also have a program called the Fruit and Veggie Prescription Program, and we work really closely with Peace Health and CMAR, and those clinics and medical services refer patients to us. Those are people who either have chronic health issues or are at risk of them, and a lot of those health issues can be solved with nutritious food and activity. So they come to our offices, or that's what they did most of the time before COVID. And then COVID kind of stopped that for a few years. And now we're kind of getting back into them coming to our office and getting vouchers that they can then take and purchase fruit and veggies in many different stores in our community, including a bunch of farmers markets and farm stands. So that not only helps the people who are doing it and helps them stay and keep healthy, but it also helps our local economy, especially our farm economy, which is really important to us. And speaking of farms, we do a really great program called Farm to School. And that is offered in Sedro Woolley School District and in Concrete School District. In Concrete, we have a huge garden. We have students from kindergarten all the way through high school who work in the garden. We do garden education there. And those students are also, as they grow in the program, they are receiving leadership training. They go out and work at the farmer's market. They, tend to the crops. They do a bouquet share, which is amazing, I can say, because I did it last year. And every week you get a fresh, beautiful bouquet delivered to you or to a location that you would pick up from. For me, it was at my office, so it was great. And Sedro Woolley, there's also gardens in 4 of the elementary schools, and we're looking to expand that into the middle school and hopefully eventually the high school. And I will just tell you that both of those programs have been run through a variety of federal grants that are all expiring at the end of this year. So we're working really, really hard to try to find funding to sustain those programs because we think they're really important. And I know if there's any parents in here of students who've participated in Farm to School, it's really a great opportunity, especially maybe for students who don't do that as well in a classroom setting, can really, really shine when they're doing experiential education outside and they're seeing the results of what is happening in real time and getting excited about science. So let me move on here to the next pillar, which is active living. And so we run the United Fitness Center, which is in the buildings where our offices are, right out in front of United General Hospital. So is anybody here a member of that gym? It's great. Thank you. It's a great place. It's really low pressure. We welcome all people to that program. We have several really knowledgeable staff who can help you meet your exercise goals, or if you're coming out of physical therapy, that's sort of our niche there at that fitness center, which is kind of helping people recover from maybe an injury or, like I said, physical therapy and want to get back in and continue to stay healthy. And we're getting really busy in the fitness center again. We're getting to like pre-COVID numbers, so maybe like a couple hundred people per day. It's been the last couple of weeks, which is great. So we're really happy about that. Hopefully you've heard of Trek for Treasure, which is our annual hiking program that we've been doing for, I think, about 13 years. And it's a really great way for you and your family to get out and hike some of the trails. And we also do some kind of fun themes, and you have to solve some riddles and clues, and you can be really competitive or not, whatever you want. But it occurs throughout the summer, and you have to solve your clue to get your information for the next hike. So that's a really fun way to get out and stay active with family and friends. We have a yoga program that's really popular. It's always full. If you are interested in movement and kind of de-stressing, yoga is a great way to do it. And we also are the fiscal sponsor for the Skagit Trail Builders, who are building some new trails out at Northern State Recreation Area. So what that means is that is a really small organization. They didn't have the infrastructure to receive donations or pay invoices. So we take them on as a fiscal sponsor, and then they are like a program of ours. So we represent with that group at various meetings. We work closely with Skagit County on that park and the port. And it's just really exciting. If you haven't been out to Northern State and walked on the trails lately, they've been doing a ton of work. In fact, last weekend, we had the most volunteers. We do volunteer sessions twice a month, and we have 48 volunteers last weekend helping to build the trails and keep those moving forward. And we're building a bridge over one of the creeks, and it's just gorgeous out there. So you should definitely check it out. And one of the things that's happening out there, I failed to mention from a few pillars ago, that we also run a bereavement program that that took place at a house on the hospital campus that shut down when COVID started. And we're kind of re-energizing that bereavement program. And one of the things I'm going this afternoon out to Northern State to talk with Skagit County Parks about putting in a wind phone. Anybody ever heard of a wind phone? Yeah, I hadn't either. So a wind phone is something that it's a phone that is not, it's not signed up to a line or anything, and it's out. They're usually out in nature, like in a serene place, and they are specifically for people who have experienced loss of a family member or a loved one, and they can go out to that phone and be in a lovely setting out in nature, and they can pick up the phone and talk to that person that they have lost. And it's apparently a really lovely way for people to connect with their grief and to move forward and move past it. So, and also as a side note, that bereavement program is picking back up again. We have a volunteer AmeriCorps person this year who is focused on that, and she has helped start some grief groups at Sedro Woolley High School and at Anacortes High School. So if you know anybody in those areas, because it is the only program in Skagit County that deals specifically just with youth grief. We all know hospice, which is a great organization. They do bereavement programs, but nothing geared specifically toward youth. And these are kind of like, they're groups that the youth are peer to peer with. So there's someone running it, but it's really the youth who are kind of talking through their grief and working through healthy ways of dealing with it. So any questions on active living? Okay. So then the last kind of pillar program that I'll talk about is the Thriving Children and Families. And that is really where we focus on birth to age 5. So we run the WIC program, the Women, Infant, and Children. We have a WIC clinic in our offices. So families can come there if they've got a child under 5, and they can receive assistance. They receive counseling, they can receive food, they can bring their kid and do wellness checks. And it's just a great resource for families. And again, we do a lot of the parenting programs that I talked about earlier are also, we have some different parenting programs for people with new babies. They can kind of figure out how to deal with a new baby if they've never had one, which, as I'm sure many of you know, is a very overwhelming experience. And we actually are just starting in a couple weeks. We have a play and grow session that people can come to. It's going to be every Thursday at 11 a.m. at that house that I talked about on the hospital campus. Any family can come if they've got a new baby, and there's a scale there. There's going to be counseling. There's going to be nurses available to talk about child development, and then also just a play group. So that's a resource, and it's open to anyone who wants to come. So, and there's also a Children's Council of Skagit County, which is a group of kind of volunteer community members that are working to make sure that all families in Skagit County have access to the support and the resources that they need to make sure that their family is just as healthy as it can possibly be. And so the last pillar that I'll talk about is called Stewarding Assets and Opportunities. It's the boring one, but it's the one that I'm a part of. And it's really the department that kind of upholds all the rest of those programs. So it's where our financial people are, and it's where I am, and it's the marketing and the communications and capacity and outreach and all the things that need to happen when we have programs that are happening like this. We need the public to know about them and hopefully to be supportive of them. So we also are 50% owners in Hospice of the Northwest. So we sit on their board and we are involved in decision-making there as well. We have some capital projects that we've been working on. This house that I just talked about, where some of our programs take place, has just been remodeled. We did about a $750,000 remodel on this house. Otherwise, we would have had to just tear it down and build something brand new, which would have cost 5 times that much. So we're really happy with the remodel. We've got a couple of spaces there that can be used in the community. So if anybody needs a space in Sedro Woolley, I mean, you guys have this, so you probably don't, but just come and talk to me after this and I'll give you my business card and we can talk about it. So that's going to be open to all community members. And let's see if there's anything I left out, and we do talk a little bit about our potential levy lift that we might be going out for in the next couple of years on that page. So you can read a little bit more about it. And again, my statistics that I gave you were definitely like from memory. They weren't perfect. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them separately too. So does anybody have any questions in general? Yes, Mark. What's our organization going to look like? Well, for the first little while, it won't be much different because, like I said, we do have, I think, somewhere around $12 million in reserves. So we're going to be able to run our organization exactly as it's running right now for, we could conceivably for years. However, we want, we've done a lot of growth in the last 10 years, as Chuck can tell you better than I can. And we'd like to continue growing, and we'd like to continue meeting community need, which we see as only growing also. So, we're really focusing on hopefully going for this levy lift. We're actually working with a brand strengthening company to really get a good sense of what the community thinks of us. In fact, I'd love if anybody wants to raise your hand and tell me just what you thought of us before today, or what you still might think of us. We really want to know. And we also really want to know what our community needs, what you think the biggest needs are as far as public health, health and wellness, what you see amongst your neighbors and friends that we should be focusing on. So we've put out a survey. Hopefully some of you might have received it. We really want to know about that. It's a pretty short survey. And once we get the results of that back, it'll give us a better sense of like, where do we need to be talking a lot more about this thing that we do that nobody seems to know that we do. And we know we have a ways to go. I mean, not very many of you thought that I worked for Peace Health or the hospital, but usually when I'm out in the community, that is what people think. When I say I work for United General District 304, oh, you work for the hospital. Oh, you work for Peace Health. And I don't work for either of those places. They're great places, but I don't work for them. So we need to do a lot of education on what a public hospital district is and what it can do and does for the community. Anyone else? Travis. So the two people that I knew before are asking me questions. That's great.
I think maybe mostly a comment here, but then a quick question. I want to say this is well done. Like I wasn't aware of this, and this is really helpful. And so I appreciate you coming and sharing this. Like in the way I think about health, this is the good stuff. By the time you end up in the hospital, it's a lot of times too late. So I would love to see our community continue to focus on this. One question I do have, I saw in here under the Thriving Families pillar, there was a specific call out for Ukrainian interpretation. Do we have a large unmet Ukrainian population?
Yes, we do. Yeah, there are a lot of Eastern European, Ukrainian specifically, people in Skagit County, and it's growing. And we saw a need for someone who spoke Ukrainian that, nobody at my organization does. And it was something that we hadn't seen up until, a couple of years ago, I think. So I don't, I have no idea if that's related to anything else that's going on in the world, but I know that there is a growing population here. Yeah, thanks. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much.
We have a gift for you. We have a gift for you for coming. It was a very good presentation. And just so you know, Carl is a master questioner, and he's good. He has made people cry before, so you handled him perfectly. Thank you very much. Visitors, I didn't have any visitors listed, but I know there's one here that was not introduced. Sheena? What is it? Bean? Well, welcome for coming for everybody. And I did look up a joke for Bean. to close on. A poodle and a collie are walking together when the poodle unloads on his friend. My owner's mean. My girlfriend ran away with a schnauzer, and I'm as jittery as a cat. Why don't you go see a psychiatrist? The collie said. I can't, said the poodle. I'm not allowed on the couch. So that, have a great week. Thanks for coming.